Hi everyone, exciting times for the 2 Plus podcast. In I think a week, Paddy, from today, a week from tomorrow, we're running the
Tomorrow, yeah.
first, yeah, 1 week, the first 2 Plus event. So we've partnered with In Response, a news store in Blacktown, to host this event. And the store is putting up $200 worth of store credit prizes, and we're going to take 16 players on, 1,750 points. We are running what's being called the Throne of Skulls comp. That means ultimately you can't pay, how much is it? 25% for a character? Can't be more than
25% per
25%.
character. Yeah.
Yep. And so you won't be able to play level 4 because it's under 2,000 points, and you can only play a level 3. That's roughly the limitations. Special characters are allowed, as you'll see a little bit of in this review of sorts. What we're doing today, so I have the unenviable task of being the tournament arbiter and judge and organizer, and to sort of look at something more of an involved sports vote, because Paddy and I have talked about this a little bit on the channel, that the game isn't always built for hard, cutthroat competitive play, and a lot of us are playing for the immersion and the thrill of building an army and a bit of the narrative that comes along with that, as much as this is a channel that focuses on competitive play as well. So we're doing a sportsmanship vote. Each of the players who is playing, all 16 of them, have submitted a score out of 10 for all the other armies. And the reference for that score is just the very subjective question, is it Warhammer or not? What I've done is gone away and pulled the averages. We promised players that their individual scores wouldn't be known to anybody else, but Paddy hasn't seen those scores yet. So we're hoping, I guess there's a lot of talk at the moment with the metagame settling down about comp and some of the inconsistencies with rules and power level in the game, and GW perhaps forsaking us in this area, that communities need to take control and reach a consensus by themselves. And we don't want anyone to turn up to this event and have a bad game. And we feel, or a bad experience is probably more to the point. We feel that this score might be a good way to sort of gauge, well, are you taking something that other people don't really want to play against that much? Or are you taking something that other people really want to play against? And that's what these scores are for. So, Paddy, I hope you're excited, because we're going to do this in groups. There's 5 groups that I've identified, and we're going to give you those scores out of 10. And then we're going to look at those lists quickly. And just so Paddy might give us some insight, and I can help a little bit about why players might have scored that way for those particular armies. But without further ado, Paddy, I'll give you the first set. These are the what I'm calling mostly Warhammer group. So these scored 6 to 7 points. And so I think people tend to default to 7. So they came in just a little bit under for 7. I mean, maybe not.
That's all right.
What what do you think? I think some talking points already for friends of the pod, the godfather of the pod. A little bit of an early salvo for you, Paddy, right there. That's Mike Bastow, not Michael Ockett, who is above. Michael Ockett and Mike are
Yes.
both playing Empire, but Mike Bastow's at the bottom. Under you, Paddy.
Yeah. You're under me. So we'll
Mr.
see
Warhammer
later.
himself.
We look, I think I gave Mike a 6. Um, I was surprised. I was unsure of where I would land because I'm bringing a dragon, although it's a bare naked dragon, or at least with a great weapon and nothing else. But dragons being where they are, I was unsure whether I'd be given just a straight 4, 3, even 2, just for bringing a dragon. Michael, I'm kind of surprised that he's not. I think I gave him a 7, so maybe an 8. But
Mm,
he's from memory is like your mixed arms, gun line focused
yeah,
Empire list.
yeah.
So, like, I think that's pretty classic Warhammer. Jeff, Chaos Dwarves. I think I said to you today. I think their floor is probably a 6 because they're a bit of a meme and pretty iconic Warhammer imagery. But I think a lot of people don't take them very seriously as well. So I don't know a lot about them, but um, yeah, I suppose I also feel like Keith is quite low. Isn't
Yeah.
Keith the
Wolves
only
of the Sea.
list in? That's right. Yeah, sorry, no, I
There
was
are two
thinking
Wolves of the
of
Sea.
Dave. Yeah, there are two Orcs of the Sea, and I think they're inherently kind of not Warhammer. I think
I wonder
the way
why.
they
Let's take a
play.
look. Do you want to look at Jeff or
Hmm.
Mike first?
Let's just fly through Mike because I know Mike's list, and I think it's a pretty accurate score, and he'll probably be spitting out his chilled wine tonight, because
I've got a chilled wine. I mean, it's
he's
the last day of work anyway. Mike, cheers.
Yeah, look, it's there's a couple of things that I thought would have got. Yeah, that is the standout. The 48 missile troopers is not Warhammer. I think in a lot of people's minds,
Mm.
even though they're infantry and ranked infantry, and the point of them is to have static combat res. People don't like big bricks of anything. I think like 20 to 25 is the most you can bring for people to be like, that's fine. Once you get over that, people start turning up their nose. He has Pistoliers in the bloody army, and he's getting worse points than me. And he has 2 units of Outriders. I think this list is kind of fine.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of
Well,
shocked that he's down there.
good place to start. I mean, I guess you could say two cannons. It's certainly would come under the heading of gun line. 48
Yeah,
missile troops. Yeah, I wonder how Mike will take it. So that's Mike's. Yours, if you want to talk about, is not
yeah,
just a dragon, and you can sort of explain due to the limitations of the points, this is pretty much as good as you're going to get.
yeah. I can take like an extra spite or like a charmed shield or something, but really I couldn't be bothered. And I'm used to playing. So recently I've been playing the Sisters uh, pillar list, at least a pared back version of that with the level 4. This is basically that, but with toughness 6 guys in there. So I have a dragon, a tree man ancient, who I don't think is very good, and a tree man. So less mobile, but tougher. But I think generally a weaker list without the dragon. So I feel like people have kind of looked kindly upon me because of the tree man ancient, maybe. But yeah,
Yeah, I think
I
people
don't
like
know.
tree men. I mean, and maybe
Yeah.
they just can excuse that without the ward saves, the dragons are just not that bad. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
I was surprised to see yours scored that well. We had Keith.
Maybe it's the pod power.
It
Maybe
could
people
be. It
wanted
could
to,
be. Maybe people just you're the
but I feel like you
likable
might.
person
Yeah.
on the pod. Keith's trying something new for those who don't know. We've mentioned a few times on the channel. Keith has his own channel, Creaky Gamers, where he's sort of highlighted, he always has sensationally painted armies, but he's playing Wolves of the Sea. And yeah, hard to gauge, isn't it, how people feel about Wolves of the Sea?
Yeah, I think like there's no ranks. Oh, there is in this list though, right? He has berserkers. Are they skirmished?
He
There's
looks like he's
16
got
berserkers.
16 with, so he can claim, if people aren't aware, this tournament has some objectives in the scenarios that are related with standards. And the hierarchy is if you have a standard, or you have a standard and musician, or you have a standard musician and ranks, and so forth, you can claim points in the first 2 of the 3 games. So in this case, that's probably what's going on here. He does have
I
that
think
one.
his list is probably fine. I think skin wolves are kind of perceived as being a little bit broken, and gigantic spawn are a little bit
Mm.
well costed. But if you look at his characters, sure, it has the ogre blade, but he has Mark of Corn on that
Yeah.
on that demonic mount exalted champion. Like that's pretty bloody Warhammer, I think. A giant weapon on a guy that's frenzied.
Mm-hmm. Maybe he's the
So
go
yeah,
first champion, but
yeah, that's right.
we're probably not going to go
I
into
think
those
it's fine. Yeah.
details. But yeah, maybe that's what it is. But he has a demon prince. I mean, that's a bit. It's fun. A demon prince. It's not like your level 3
Yeah,
with
it's
puppet. It doesn't have puppet.
I think
You
also
know.
to consider like the facet, like so what I kind of judge is this Warhammer on is not necessarily is it 1995 and are we playing rank and flank lists?
Mm.
Like is it just squeezing points to pure efficiency, or is there some thought into the construction of the list, which I think this has. There's a demon leading a Warriors of Chaos list that has a few monsters in it. Like there's a vibe and a theme to it.
Do you
So
think
I was
thematically,
surprised to see
like
it.
there's sort of a narrative
Correct. Yeah.
cohesion? Yeah,
Yeah, for
I
sure.
agree. I think that's what it is. Like, you're going to see some armies later on, obviously, that you might question.
Yes.
including mine, but in this case, yeah, I'm surprised. There's a good counterpoint to this later, so we'll be able to talk about Keith in a little bit more detail. But then I think we had Michael. So Michael,
Michael, good. Yeah.
yeah, I think this could be his first tournament after TOing the other Oldhammer tournaments. And I've had a few games on the channel against, well, probably haven't seen the new version, but I played a high elf game on the channel against something similar. So he has an engineer, he has a Lector of Sigma, which is
Mhm.
very fun, a Wizard Lord, a Captain who's no longer on a Griffin, only on a Warhorse. 30 state missile troops. He does have 2 cannons and a steam tank. But yeah, would you think fluffier?
I
I would
think
have
this
thought
is pretty.
fluffier. Yeah,
I think this is pretty Warhammer. Like it's
pretty
not a
Warhammer.
straight gun line. There's demis, there's knights, there's a steam tank, which to me is like as Warhammer as you can get that isn't rank and flank. It's
Mhm.
very on brand for the Warhammer imagery. His characters are not overtooled, sure, as Thor Familiar and Ruby Ring, but like I don't
It,
know, hard done
it's
by
taking
Michael.
dark
So I
magic
was
for battle frenzy, so it's not like egregious.
yeah.
General on
Yeah,
Warhorse
rough.
is my meme for like, is it Warhammer? If your
Yeah.
general's on a horse, it's like, woo, yeah, that's good. That's good Warhammer.
Yeah, it's a bonus point. Like
Uh,
if you're
it
giving him a
isn't even,
seven,
it's
you
a
have to
battle
give him an eight.
standard. Yeah, sorry, the Lecter's the general, I think. But the
Captain.
captain's
Yeah,
on
but like
a
a general
horse.
elector being your general, that's nuts.
I like it. Always enjoyable to play against.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it got under 7. I can't remember what I gave it, but it would have been more than 7. I reckon I would have given this 8.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I
then
agree. Hard done by Michael.
yeah, and I will never reveal. I promised contractually I will never reveal what individuals gave people. Maybe someone just can't stand Michael. I don't know. I'm sorry, but yeah, I thought that was a
Yeah.
pretty fluffy list. Yeah, this is the first of the Chaos Dwarf list. There's 2 in this, and they're similar. So Jeff has a big unit of Infernal Guard. So he's 450 points from core. So they are very expensive. That often comes down to the missile weapons. So you can take the blunderbuss or the fireglaive, and they're both expensive. And this is already, your basic dwarf stat line drilled. However, what's unusual is that you've got these characters and they're in the block on foot, the general and the BSB. So that's not usual. And then you would imagine that yeah, they're going to fly around with um, some tricks to sort of get those shots off. But yeah, just a unit of Wolf Riders, a unit of Bull Centaurs, an Iron Demon, 1. And then he's got that character, the Bull Centaur character that has the Ogre Blade, a Taruk. So
The
that's it.
only
Oh,
thing
sorry,
I can,
Hobgoblin Khan as well, but that's like just a goblin running around with Ruby Ring.
yeah. So the thing I would say is maybe not Warhammer about this list. I don't know a lot about Chaos Dwarves, so I don't know a lot about what they do and like the vibe of this army, but there's not a lot of units.
Hmm.
Is there only one unit in that rare? If you scroll down to rare, is it just the Iron Demon and the Hobgoblins or something?
So there's if you
Iron
count the
Demon's a
Iron
special.
Demon, we're not counting War Machines. You've got the Wolf
Yeah.
Riders, the Centaurs, and the block, which will of
Yeah.
dwarves essentially, which will carry, you would imagine, these 2
So
characters.
I would, yeah. So you're talking, you've got 800 points more in a
Hmm.
block. That to me isn't very Warhammer, I think, but maybe I don't know.
We're gonna have good rep.
He scored almost 7.
Almost 7, yeah, very close. Like to where, and who knows if that's what people were thinking in their mind. Was interesting to see the average scores people gave and who gave on the whole a lot more than other people. It was actually pretty close in general. Like there wasn't anyone who averaged less than 5.5. And I think only one player averaged giving over 7 on average to everybody. So generally 7 was about, high. So maybe we're
Yeah.
just cynics who play this game. Anyway, what do you think, Paddy? Those are the mostly Warhammer armies. Like what people thought, oh yeah, you'd probably be happy to play against that, but a little bit lacking in theme to some extent.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's a couple. I think Michael and probably Keith are hard done by. Probably both Michaels. But yeah, I think people have, things in their minds that just give it a zero, basically. Like a brick of 400 points is just like that makes that list start at a two, and then they've got to claw their way back kind of thing. Which is surprised why I landed there with a dragon. But yeah, none of those lists seem egregious, so I think around a 6 to a 7 is
Yeah.
fine for all of them.
Well, the next group is there might be some Warhammer in these lists. So there's Cameron with his Warriors of Chaos list. There's me and my Beastman army, and there's Alex Searle, Chaos Alex with his Wolves of the Sea army. So that's how we came in
I
on
reckon,
the
yeah.
averages. Are you surprised?
Yeah, I'm surprised you scraped in at 5.25. I thought you were going to be sub 5 for sure.
Really? Oh,
Yeah, I do. I know we'll get to the list in a sec. Is Cameron the one with the Manticore Lord?
yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that guy's kitted out, I think, from memory. So I think people would be scared of his loadout, but I can't remember his full list. But
Mm.
Alex Searle as well, I think I gave him a 5, maybe, because there's
Mm.
about 45 units in his list. It's yeah, it'll be hard for him to fit all of his units on the board.
Yeah, let's have a look at them. So we'll look at Cameron's first, top to bottom. Cameron does have a Manticore, and it's a pretty strong, as you say, the type of loadout that goes on the Dragon or the Warhorse. If you're watching the Espot final, that's pretty much what people take. The Mark of Nurgle, the Ogre Blade, Favors, and the Enchanting Aura, and then the 3+ save, which I guess why wouldn't you take? But yeah, is the Manticore any good? Is what he's called the army. I guess we're going to find out because it's the only
437,
difference.
400 and
Yeah,
his general cost the exact limit of a character,
yeah.
437 points, I think is 25%. It's also, oh yeah, sorry. Which I think, just shows that, which is fine, that he's maximizing character, which a lot of people hate at the moment. And
Mm,
that will be a scary, like I don't want to run into that with my 4+ save dragon, despite having 9 wounds. Ogre Blade, 2 Favors of the God, striking at the same time as me when I don't have armor saves.
yeah.
It's pretty scary for me.
I haven't been that impressed with
His
with Manticores, but that's the only difference here. So yeah, if it flat fails, you got to think it's the Manticore, it's not the rest of it.
Yeah. The Sorcerer Lord as well is no slouch as well with Infernal Puppet, Spell Familiar, Ruby Ring. Like these with Mark of Zinch, like you're basically taking a level 4.
Mm.
Or you are. So like straight off the bat, 852 points, half the army being in 2 characters. And I've never met Cameron, so I've got the unknown user, the unknown viewer task of being the tournament arbiter. I'm just grading all these people on YouTube, but
But we
that
do.
800 and
Lovely guy,
that's right,
Cameron.
850 points.
We've emailed. Yes, very nice. He's on a chariot,
Yeah.
if you didn't notice as well. The
Yeah,
sorcerer.
which is cool. I think that's cool. But
Yeah,
again,
haven't
like
seen that
half,
yet.
half the army is in 2 characters. That hurts the score, I think.
Yeah. From there, you've just got 5 knights with standard bearer, no musician. 5 warhounds, 5 forsaken, another 5 forsaken, both Slanesh, 5 horsemen,
Yeah. This would
3
be
dragon eggers, an independent Shartak, and a spawn
there's a
of
lot
Nurgle.
of yeah.
Yeah, I
Sorry, I keep
really
speaking
wish
over
I'd
top of you,
taken a
but
different spawn just to be different now. Like everyone's got the Nurgle spawn. I tried the Corn one. I want to try the Slanesh one, but now I just feel like a
yeah.
conformist.
That's a very efficient 1750 point list. And there's nothing
Yeah,
wrong with efficiency, but that's about as good as you can make, I think, a Grand Army Warriors of Chaos list without a dragon. Maybe. Like yeah.
agreed. I agree. So, is it more Warhammer then than me? Certainly not the people's champion in this. In this, so I've got I don't know how I ended up this formatting. Sorry to the viewers. I thought it looked clean
It's
somehow.
if you copy as text or copy as a link
Because it's
or
so much more
something.
readable,
Yeah.
but it takes up so many more
Yeah.
pages. So
Yeah.
yes, for those who weren't I haven't really
How
uploaded.
about I what
Yeah, give me the
why don't I
take.
give the unbiased view? Because you've got a level three, a level
Having never
one, a
played
level one. Yeah. Yeah. And that's what we're doing here. We're just paper grading.
it.
Level three. Do you have two level ones? Level
Two level
three, two level
ones. Yeah,
ones,
yeah,
both on chariots.
yeah.
So wounds like magic missile dudes with
Hopefully,
Vile
yeah.
Tide, I
Hopefully,
think. Or
it'll be wild time.
yeah. So that is already like a pretty gross play, I think. Wargore, I think you kind of downgraded your maximized list and just chucked this guy in to try and maybe climb up the board of the Is This Warhammer list. He's a fighty dude.
Yeah,
He's
I
a
don't know
fighty
why I
dude,
did
but I
this.
like,
I don't
yeah,
know why.
you
It's
felt the
there
pressure.
now.
You felt the pressure of Is It Warhammer, I think. And
But
then
that's
let's
what it's
just
all
slow
about. It's
scroll.
about social pressure.
Yeah, we'll slow scroll these Razor Gore herds because I've forgotten how many you've had. But you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Five. Yeah,
You've taken
five.
one out,
I've taken one out.
but you have, and you've got 1, 2 singular dragon over Ogre Shartax.
Taken
Centaur
one
herd again for a little bit of a boost to the Is It Warhammer score. And then don't forget the most efficient
out.
unit in the game,
Nurgle.
gigantic.
Should have done something
Yeah.
fun. Yeah.
So I think both Cameron and you got a favor of the gods in this scoring, and I think you should both be lower. No offense to Cameron.
uh, Here I am thinking, poor Beastman, they don't get around anyway. No one even plays level ones. They're like, no, you shouldn't have played it. But I wonder,
Yeah,
yeah, it is interesting to think about whether these multiple level one units also in a C tier army, but
yeah.
how they're any good. And now, yeah, what am I doing? Playing Centaur Gore herds and the Gore unit to gain some scenario points. I didn't even get any popularity votes. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, it was a waste of
Look, if I'd
time.
been below 4, I would have been devastated, but it's been a lesson for me. I'll take it. You have to play it. And I reckon I'll go 1-2 at this as well. It'll just be the worst. So I do. Alex, who has an thank God he's after me because it was neck and neck for a while. Well, not neck and neck, but I was
Yeah.
always just 0.15 ahead of him. And I thought, oh, someone's going to tip it. But his list is more extreme than mine. So have you seen
Yeah,
his general?
he has, I think, yeah.
I think this is Warhammer.
I think that's great.
Yeah,
I
I think
saw
it's
that. I was
great.
like, oh, I'm looking forward to this list. And then the page just kept going and
Yeah,
going and
so
going.
it does. So we're
1,
up to
2,
3 units
3.
of
How
5
many units you
horsemen.
got? 4, 5, 6, 7. Keep going.
Yeah. So he's got 7 in
Uh,
core. I don't know if
8.
he realized that you can play 6 in this format in core. So that's where the Razor Gore herds are. So he's rule of 3. He's got 3 warhounds, 3 horsemen. And then you've got
Yeah.
that small unit of marauders there at the end.
15 skin
He's got
wolves.
15 skin wolves. On
Which is
reflection,
fine.
should he have been lower than this with 15 skim rolls? Is
No,
anyone ready
because
for this?
he doesn't have a wizard though, right? He doesn't have a
No.
wizard.
There's 65 points
That's
of
a
characters.
massive. Yeah. So
Yeah.
like you look at, yes, the rest of his army's
So his
full
champion
on,
here,
but
who's here to win challenges, feels better than his general. Like if his uh, who plays the
Marcus
Marcus
Slanesh.
Slanesh? Oh, it's great. This is Warhammer to me. Like, what other sort of horde is there? I guess 15 skibbles. It's like, oof. Who
Yeah,
even
15
owns
skin wolves
15
are
skibbles?
not minimum sized units of everything possible.
Yeah. And
And
he's
then just a
got
cheeky 4 dragon ogres at the end.
uh so yeah, that's where we're at. He scored really low.
But
I
yeah,
scored really low. Some Warhammer. Poor Cameron's been in the bracket with me. And if the last place you want to be, Cameron, is with Alex Searle in a bracket, because like wait till this video comes out, we're gonna be whatever happens to us. But that's the like mostly hardly any Warhammer at this stage
yeah,
bracket. All right. Let's go to another good version then. So that was us below par. And this is the above par. So these are the people like you got to think who are probably, it's like this is Warhammer. So Paddy
yeah.
Gallagher, Chaos Dwarves. Alistair's got Empire, and John plays those Dark Elves who, he's won one of these tournaments. Alistair has as well, both the Dark Elves, but Alistair's playing Empire. John is playing Dark Elves again.
Look, John's list for me, I think I maybe gave it 9.
Yeah.
I really like his list, and I think it's very, very Warhammer. Alistair's, you have to see the actual list to get why this would score higher than the other Empire lists, because I don't think he's getting it a 7.5 because it's a softer list, which I think it is than the other Empire lists.
Mm.
It's fine, like it's a good list, but it's less like tooled towards something. But he's put a lot of effort in areas which you'll see in a sec. Paddy, again, Chaos Dwarves don't know crap about them, so I think I guessed at a 7. So I feel like that feels about right.
Let's have a look. So we're going from top to bottom. Let's just say for hype, John is third overall. So he's going to win $10 store credit.
Nice
I
one.
think on the scores, a little bit unlucky to be third. I think a lot of people liked
Yeah.
it. I think this is pretty good. You'd be very happy to play against this Supreme Sorceress Master on a chariot, as you noted, Paddy, earlier today. He's got that cool Death Hag that has all the attacks in the world and none of the defense possible.
Yeah.
2 instant Dark Riders, 20 Witch Elves, 5 Dark Elf Shade, 6 Cold Ones, 2 Bolt Throwers, and a Charybdis. So, yeah,
Yeah. I think it's quintessential, like this is backyard Dark Elf Warhammer. We've
good.
got
I
a
love
bit
it.
one of everything.
Dark
Yeah.
Elves. That's it.
It's
Uh,
and like the naked Death Hag just with a giant weapon that's just gonna leap at you, try and kill you. If it doesn't, she probably dies. But you can't ignore her. He's got ranked units of Witch Elves. And like, yeah, it feels very Dark Elfy. The Chariot General is not the General. No, I presume the Sorceress is the General.
no, the
Um,
Master's the general. So the Chariot
oh,
is
the
the
Master is the,
general.
oh yeah,
So it's going to have a
yeah,
lot of
sorry.
wounds. Pendant of Caliph. It's pretty survivable. Great weapon.
Having
Usual.
stupidity on your general is a great boost to your Is This Warhammer score, I think.
Mm.
But it'll look sick as well, I think, which also plays into it. Like if you picture this army on the table, thematically, I think it's really good.
Yeah, I agree. It's one of the armies I definitely like to play. I've had a chance to play against it in a different format with a dragon, but I think it still looks good. It'll play well. Alistair, so just to go with his Empire, do you get points for... He'll tell us, but to me, I think it's Spanish. Do you reckon that?
Estalia is, I think it's, so that's like Italy and Spain, right?
Oh, is
There's
it?
Estalia and there's another one next to it. I forget which one is which, but it's probably, by the sound of it, it looks like, because he's got like a conquistador or how do you, conquistador or conquistador,
Yeah.
whatever it is, Spanish themed printed army. And as you can see, he's named every unit, not just the characters, which I think is awesome. So he's got a general and a griffin. He's got the Pegasus mage level 3. He does have another level 2, which I think a lot of people would think is a bit on the nose. But once you're reading Diego de la Sombra, I think everyone's happy that it's a second mage. And then you have the priest on a warhorse and then an engineer. But like it's just hard not to like it when you see everything named. You believe it.
True, because you
He's
don't have
got
to see the level
two.
3 here that, name that way.
Yeah,
He's got the same amount of wizard levels that I do, but no one believes that.
yeah, exactly.
So I'm
And
gonna
the
name
rest,
all
the
of
rest, I
mine
think.
the Spanish Beastman from now on. So Australian, so he's got like, yeah, he's only got the one cannon as well, which I think it's, yeah, if you look at it, it's pretty much one of to an extent. Like you got the double handgunners and the double wizard, but whatever. Like there's not double of something that's considered over the top. So feels very fair to me. Well done to Alistair after taking a black dragon with wards in a 1,500-point tournament. He's come back and said he's going to give back to the people with this
Yeah,
army. I think
I
it'll
don't.
look good.
I don't think it's a bad list. Like it's
Nah,
not weak,
nah.
and his play like it's not like you're just going to walk all over it. But it's
It's
not
got
like
3
it's
flyers. Like they're,
yeah.
it'd be fun. I just think it's fun. I think it's good. I'm glad he got above 7. I think it'd be fun to play against.
Yeah, I do too.
So, and there's a few, cute little things in there. So for people who are, it's a shame that we can't adopt the Empire Arcane Journal, but it'll be coming. I think Alistair's talking a lot about it. So let's do Paddy's.
Mhm.
Paddy's got the other Chaos Dwarf list. I think it is very similar to Jeff's. So you've got these characters. So he doesn't have the hobgoblins, but he has the other types of characters. He doesn't have Ogre Blade on the Tarok, but he has a similar type of setup. Um, where the two characters are on foot, the Battle Standard Bearer and the Sorcerer Prophet. He has the 24 Infernal Guard. These guys have the blunderbusses. So that's the one with the, if you shoot with 20 at one time, they do like they have special, adds a lot of power to the shot, whereas Jeff had Fire Glaives. Also got War Banner in there. He has the Iron Demon. He has 3 of the Bull Centaur Rendors, but he also has the Dreadquake Mortar. So where Jeff had Hobgoblins, Paddy has the Dreadquake, which is sort of a fun weapon too. It's the one thing that negates Swift Stride, which is fun. So I don't know if he scored higher than Jeff just by default, or not. They're sort of close in score, but they're also very similar types of armies. Like they'll probably move around with the wizard if you're not sure of playing
Yeah,
Chaos
I
Dwarfs.
don't think there's between the scores is like 0.2 of a
Yeah,
difference. I don't
not a
think there's
lot.
any difference between them. And as I said, I guessed both of them, and I think I gave them both a 7 because I honestly have never, I haven't watched a battle report with Coast Dwarves, anything, haven't
Hmm.
read their units. I know what they look like, but I'll be asking them what they do when they put them on the table.
No, and I have to check. Like, I imagine, I don't know if these are 2 War Machines. Does he only have 2 units other than War Machines and characters now? We better check that. Should have checked that beforehand, but like
Good
I
point.
am not particularly fussed by that. Like some people might be, but Iron Demon and Dreadquake Mortars, if they're War Machines, then is it just the renders and the Infernal Guard? That's all we have you guys for. Thank you for tuning in. There will be someone who's up late at night when this drops. Tell me straight away, and we'll let Paddy know. Thank you very much.
Yes.
So we'll go to the next group. Is it Warhammer at all? These are the bottom 3. So this is Chris's first tournament with us, or with the people who've been playing Oldhammer. Dave's played before. You've played Dave. And Paul. I've played Paul, but not Bretonia Paul. And he nearly won the last tournament. But you've seen the list to some extent, Paddy. You know, Chris is playing Beastman.
Yeah. So Chris's list is probably a more scaled up version of your list, very similar to what you were going to run, I think, before you papered it back. Um, Dave is special character heavy, I think plays a role. Paul is about as maximized as you can get for a meta list that a lot of people don't like. So I think that's
Yeah.
the headlines for them all.
Do you think? Yeah, I'm surprised at the 0.8 between Dave and Paul. Like that's what we'll have a look at. So if you can detect any
Yeah,
sort of like
I'm not
Exile,
really.
sure, but are you okay? Yeah, I was surprised it was that great.
Yeah.
So
I mean, yeah. So for reference, I scored those 3, my lowest 3. Nothing against the guys, but the lists are like tooled, I would say.
I think I gave the Bretonian ones pretty low scores. Sorry, guys. On the This Is Warhammer scale. To me, it's the special characters. Like, funnily enough, I just don't like him. And that's what's sort of good about this is that it is very subjective, or it's completely subjective, really. And the average scores mean that we get some sort of consensus, but people probably made decisions for different reasons. And to me, I just have a problem with special characters and it's irrational. So let's look at Chris's list. Chris is running a very similar general to me. So his is only on a Tuskor chariot. That's why it's different. Mine's on a Razor God chariot for the toughness 5. So Chris's will have to regress to toughness 4 on the shooting. And then, yeah, he has 7 Gore Herd. The minion you got to take. He has 2 Tuskors in the core. He has 4 Razor Gore Herds and 5 Warhounds with Vanguard. 3 Dragon Ogres, 2 Dragon Ogres, a Jabberslith, which is fun. Jabberslith is probably Warhammer. Nurgle and sorry, gigantic spawning ogre and a shaggoth with the blackened plate and a graver.
Is the
So yeah,
entire
what do you think?
army is the entire army minimum size except seven gore? Do you have to take seven or is it five?
Five.
Surely it's five. Yeah. So I feel like he had points
And
left
dragon
over.
ogres you can take less.
You can take
Dragon
one
ogres.
of, right,
Yeah,
of Dragon Ogres. Yeah, okay.
I like the one off.
Um, look, it's hard to say because like this is technically how I imagine beastmen in the Warhammer world kind of rock up, just with like rampaging animals running at you. But when you're playing a board game or a tabletop war game, it's not necessarily what you want to see, which is kind of maybe a handicap for beastmen because they're war, and I think this is kind of a trend across the old world, is the things that get you a good war, is this Warhammer score are generally bad. So you have to make this sacrifice of bringing bad stuff or flavorful things. But Beastmen MSU with Dragon Ogres and a gigantic spawn, I think is just always going to score low.
Yeah. So is that a bad thing? I don't think it's a bad thing. I have really thought about it since I put in this list because it's sort of like the third army I painted. I did smash it out with contrast, had it lying around. I don't mind playing it. I don't have a lot of love for it. Like High Elves or Lizardmen, I have an affection for. But yeah, I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing that you turn up and if you want to play hard, you're going to take hard things. But that's not really like no one's going to tell you you're not allowed to play. Like, I prefer it to some of these other tournaments that are being advertised with, like, oh, you might have to resubmit your list. Well, like, what for? That, like, some people, it feels like Dragons are winning them anyway. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Whereas here, I'm pretty happy with this, that it's sort of shaking the tree. And you'll see, from the winners, I don't know, like, just because it reflects badly on me, I am a pretty competitive player. So I think I've got to take my chops. And from what I'm reading with Chris, maybe you are too, Chris. We'll see how we go. So, but I'm not confident at this tournament. I'll say that for sure. We'll look at um we'll look at Dave's list, David Spears. So you've got some familiarity, but it's probably changed a lot. Was this the setup he ran with his Duke before?
not Gauntlet of the. Maybe he did have Gauntlet of the Jewel. No, he had no. And scroll down. Does he have a Baron or Paladin? Nah, no, he doesn't. The
Bloody
Duke, I
monk.
think, is a little different. Dave, for the record, is a great guy. Um, the thing that made me instantly score this low is two special characters. I don't mind one
Mm,
special characters. I actually think it's not a bad thing for the Warhammer. Is it Warhammer score? The Green Knight
mm.
is broken in my mind. The fact that you can't guarantee the points when you kill it, and it can charge turn one. I think that's a pretty like anti-fun item unit, and it's just how it is. But for me, when you rock up with a special character, I think it would be absurd if there were two special characters in the Warhammer world just rocking up to knock out Mike's 48 state missile troops. So I can totally stomach
Uh,
one special character,
but
but like
Paddy, they're the games we played as kids, where you'd have your seven, we'd have the seven unpainted crossbowmen, whatever, cold ones, the one witch elf, Teclis would show up. Why
yeah,
wouldn't he show up? And
yeah. As I
then things
said,
happened.
I don't think it has to return to 1995 Warhammer, but I think
Yeah.
like if you think about it, having Lady Elise rock up with the Green Knight together
Yeah.
when we're 40 years old is a bit, my mind's expanded since then, I think. He's only got, I think it's four Pegasus, right? One unit of four Pegasus.
Yeah,
No,
like the rest of the list is
totally,
like
totally.
below average in some ways. Like Knights Errant aren't
Yeah.
getting a run around much.
No,
Squires are like, come on, man. Like Squire, you got to give them a plus for Squires.
yeah,
Trebuchet is a plus. You got your four pegs with an errantry banner. Might we add? Like it's not vanguarding,
yeah,
which some people don't like very much. So the Dukes are always good. The characters are good, but I do think there might be a bit of a reflex with Bretonia that is a bit
totally.
overdone. Yeah, like if you told me I'd rather play Warhammer, versus Bretonia or a dragon with ward saves. I'd say Bretonia all day, all day.
Yeah.
Like I think you're gonna have a fun game, a more fun game. Like it's killable, even though like there's rules. 360 charge sucks. I voted against it for the two special characters as well. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see if that's what other people did or whether they were just reflexing against Bretonia because Paul's list, poor Paul, has to go into
Poor
damage
Paul.
control. He waits for Bretonia to be good. They're too good
He's
for some people. And
yeah.
he's playing. If I was going to play in a tournament, I would love to play Exiles. I mean, a tournament for keeps. Has brought the Green Knight this time. He has the Baron. He's dropped the Falcon Horn, which he ran at the last tournament, I think, to add the Gromwell Great Helm. Has the same setup he ran here and I believe at Moab, with that Battle Center Beareth the War Banner and the Virtue of Knightly Temper. So then he's got Knights, Bowmen, 2 units of Peg Knights, and that's the whole army.
Yeah. For me, it's the 7 peg knights plus 1, 2, 3 on. So is it 10 pegs across? No, 2. So
Nine?
nine Pegasus riding guys in a 1750
Mm,
point list for me, plus the Green Knight is a lot
mm,
in my mind. I would say, like having played, so as I said, I played Dave last tournament, and that was only against
yeah.
4 Peg Knights, a Baron, and a Duke, I think. And
Mm,
their threat range is absurd 20 inches around them, and they can charge whatever they want, and they'll probably make it. Like it's so suffocating, and it's like stressful playing against because like I can't get all of my something's like he can kill any of these 3 things next turn, and he can do it on turn 1 with his
mm.
Vanguard banner. And the Green Knight can just pop out and charge on turn 1. So uh yeah, it's a very strong list and like not I don't like as someone who plays semi-pillar spam, I'm fully aware of lists that are not fun to play against. Like this game, for I think most, not most, there's a high chance that these games that he plays are over on turn 2, turn 3 kind of thing. And that's not what people go to tournaments for. But like
Mm.
I'm not saying that's necessarily like you're going to tournaments to win. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with Paul bringing this list. It's just, if you subjectively look at it, I think it's, very, 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 very strong. And is it believable that 9 Pegasus rock up with the Green Knight again? You know, maybe.
I don't know. The Green Knight I can accept a little bit more as sort of a do what you want special character. Like he just decides to turn up, but yeah, it's at the same time. It seems to be a backlash against Britannia and these sorts of lists, and it'll be up to Paul and Dave to decide. I mean, I know Paul has access to other armies. You wait and you want to play this. Do you dumb down the list? Do you accept you're the bad guy? Do you? Paul's a lovely guy. I don't think he'd be happy feeling that way about it. But also Britannia weren't very good for a long time in the game, and people have waited. So it is. That's what this is all about to me. Like you get to weigh these things up. I like play. I don't think I'll ever be playing the most Is It Warhammer list out there, but at the
No
same
way.
time, like it's a collaborative game. Like you don't want to rock up and be like, "Sorry, I smashed you on the first turn because your list is just better." I don't know if that's where this is just yet, but I feel like in the field, it's. I think everyone sort of knew this. I thought this or Dave would end up at the bottom before the voting started, so. No surprises, really, guys. We'll see how you go. Hopefully, you win it. Otherwise, it's doubly insulting in the end, isn't it? Which is what it's all about. This is a trash talk show. So, if you're watching at home and you're really, I mean, really into this stuff, there's 2 players left. So, John's already picked up the $10. Pete, so close. People love Peter's list. He's going to pick up $15 store credit. However, David, is the people's darling, and people love Dave's Orc and Goblin list. Paddy, you've interviewed him on the channel. Do you want to sort of speak a little bit about this? Because Peter's sort of playing new. He's a Lisbon person, so he's very close to my heart. But yeah, have you seen either of these 2 lists? You probably hate Lizard Man, but what do you think?
I do. I've had, Yeah, I wake up in cold sweats. I think I say from my first experience against you and your 40 skinks or whatever it was, and
He
fireballs.
has a lot of magic missile. He has a lot of
Yeah,
fire.
yeah. And he has a carnosaur that tears through tree men.
Yeah,
But
that's right.
like lizard men are so handicapped at 1750 points, and even like they're already handicapped at 2K, but
Yeah.
1750 they can only take a level two, and they can't take two if they want to take a Scarfett.
And you can't take an old blood. You can't like as well.
Yeah.
If you take the level, you can take one or the other. It's so bad. Anyway,
It's really
sorry.
bad. So I think Lizard Men were always going to score high, and I think his list is totally Lizard Men. Um,
Mm,
Dave, I think, already had a pretty high Warhammer score on his previous list. They took to the November tournament that we were at,
hmm
and this one is even more Warhammer, I think, less character heavy, more. I think he has more ranks. Like he has two. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe not. But it's like very
Let's have a look.
flavorful, and
Let's have a look.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll get it up because we'll do Dave. Congratulations, Dave. $25 well earned. People love this army. Obviously, if you've seen it on the channel, it's also very well, everything unique is very unique, I suppose, but with the theme around sort of Australiana, that he has now put his orc on a warball, which we count in my world high in the Is It Warhammer scale. Yep, has the level 3 Idol of Gorg. I don't know if he was running Illusion before, but can't remember against me. BSB has the Night Goblins, they were there before. Wolf Riders, the Orc Mob, Trolls, Boar Boys, Wolf Chariot. I think there's the Chariots are new.
Barrett's are new,
Mangler
Mangler
Squeak
Squid is
is new.
new,
No,
and
yeah, yeah, they're
there's something else new. Anyway, but it's as what we like to say is pretty high on Warhammer is one of everything.
yeah.
And this is almost one of everything. I think that you can take at 1750 with two bricks of infantry, and no overpowered characters. So I think,
Mm,
and like Dave went 2-1 last tournament, played you in the
yeah.
final round. So he's no slouch. He's not playing, he's not taking it to just, it's not like it's this wet paper, wet lettuce list that's just going to do nothing. He knows how to play it.
Mm,
But people are happy to lose to a list like this because of A, it's Australiana theme, and B, because it's like there's so many things going on. It's not just like, okay, this is the big dude and the big brick and the two things over there.
mm,
There's
mm.
like variety, which I think is what people really want to play against.
Yeah, well, I think Pete's list is similar
Yeah,
experience with Lizardman. He's gone about, look, interestingly, about as good as you can do in 1750, but it still comes across as sort of fun. He does have the
yeah,
Carnosaur. Glyph Necklace is a fun sort of alternative with the ward to Talisman of Protection. It gives Magic Res 2 as well, which sucks because I can't Vile Tide the thing out of the ground. He has the fun little Pterodon Ruby Ring Rider. The Priest. So the Priest is on a Stegodon, but does have the Talisman of Protection. So it's got wards. Like these are no joke, these Stegodons with wards. But he has taken the 2 blocks of infantry 2 to score, which is very Warhammer. He's got blowpipes on his scouts. 2 more units of skirmishers, a Bastiladon with the solar engine, and another Stegodon with the engine of God. So I don't think it's by any means soft. It's just that Lizardmen are somewhat soft. And
totally. This is a
I think
strong
they're really,
list.
yeah. And I think people are sort of like, some people think Lizardmen should be deleted. I just don't get it. Like, I feel like they're integral to the storyline. Um, really like they'd be in the top half of the legacy armies I would bring back, not in the bottom half. So yeah, I think this is I wonder if people just think Lizardmen are really bad. I mean, you just don't watch enough of this channel.
That's
They're
right.
not bad. They're glitched, like rather than bad. Like the fact hurt the slan. There's sort of the weird point counts, but this is like a I don't know. Like I have things that I'm not too worried. Like I could win this, I could lose it, but I don't. I think you should be worried. Those big ward safe monsters, they're legit in this field, even
Totally.
against cannons. You roll your ward. Not too bad, so sad on the cannon.
this is about as good as Lizardmen can be at 1750, probably. There's three monsters, 30
Yeah.
skinks. Engine of the Gods. Is the bottom Stegodon? Is that an ancient steg? Sorry, down the bottom.
Yeah. So his priest
Yeah.
getting
So
plus one.
yeah, and he's
I mean,
got yeah.
until one of
So
them dies.
yeah. So like, but there's toughness six everywhere, and there's uh
And the
like
Bastillodon.
yeah. I think it's a
Got
strong list.
four
So
fireballs.
I think people just like to see Lizardmen maybe because it's not like this is not a like this is yeah. Looking at it now, I can't remember what I gave it, but everyone likes to see them, I think, and it's a new army in this circle since you played them. It had the tournament off, so maybe they're just happy to see Lizardmen again.
Look, there are a lot of tens for this list as well. So that's interesting, yeah. Like who gave tens to what again? Like I don't want to individualize anyone. I'd like to do this again if it works. So yeah, I think it's good. I think people do like them or think they're bad, and we'll see. Really, on the weekend, I'm confident. I think Pete will do all right. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, like he's a prize winner. So $15 for Pete, 25 for Dave, 10 for John. Store credit with in response at Blacktown. So we're going to be there on the 27th. What did you think, Paddy? What are the overall takeaways? What are in this group? What do people like to see, and what don't they like to see?
People are happy to see some strong stuff, just not all the strong stuff. I think what maybe the so when I look at the low scores, I don't think the high scores are that surprising. I think the low scores aren't really surprising either, but they're not necessarily like the top. I don't know. The Exiles list is like tooled and has everything in it. I think if it had one of those pieces missing, it climbs up pretty high. But I think what people graded on is efficiency and whether you're just, maximizing or whether you're there to win. Absolute. I go to win to these tournaments and I wouldn't care if I was going to win and got a low score. But I think people are considering how much is in the win column, how much is in the will my opponent have a good time? Will
Mm.
it be an enjoyable game for both?
Yeah, I feel like multiple small units is probably annoying for people. I mean, it's sort of annoying to play. Doesn't feel. I do worry about Beastmen and how you could play them in a world where infantry's bad. They are sort of reduced. But you look at the Wolves of the Sea armies, I thought they were pegged down lower than I expected. I thought Keith's list is pretty tame, and I thought Alex's, the Skimbles aside, was thematic. Like giving up that much in characters, I felt like should
Yeah,
have been rewarded. Like that's crazy.
yeah,
No wizard, Pierce Week general, like Pierce Week. That's 100 extra points on that guy. Like what's he got? Two wounds and nothing. So yeah, that surprised me. But it's good to know. Like I think for us, like we're trying to, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Paddy, but we are post Warhammer in some ways. Like we're not looking to regress this to like what's the best thing in the book. We want people to have a good time. I think we have a good time when we play. And we don't want to stop and go, well, you can't do that because there's a comma in this part of the rule book, and that means that your general's now shit. Like it is good to go and play against someone who's got a variety of units, and that tends to soften those things anyway. Like you're not hammering some sort of rules glitch or some undercosted thing. Yeah, like my takeaway is I'm really annoyed that I sort of took the gigantic spawn of Nurgle or didn't do a few more other things like with that list to be a bit more, I don't know, to curry favor, really. In the
yeah.
end. See
I
if I
think
could have pulled a point back.
I think certain lists, as you just pointed out, lend itself bad to the Is It Warhammer um, grading because there's only like some lists you really can't take the bad stuff. Like it's you're not going to have a good time, and I don't think you should sacrifice your own play so you can, gain the favor of your opponent. But it's
Mm,
about finding that sweet spot. Like for example, something that I have tried to do in the past where I've said I played pillar list for Wood Elves, but I don't take a dragon with it, and I won't. take a dragon with it, and I probably won't ever take 3 units of sisters because I don't think anyone wants to see that. But I will take level
Mm,
4, level 2, and 2 units of sisters,
yeah.
because I think that's a competitive way to play with it. But I'm taking some other things that are flavorful and fun that aren't just like min-maxing and playing chess. People want to play Warhammer.
Yeah. Yeah. Roll some dice. That's what we're here to do.
Mm.
And we've sort of said that, like, we want it to be an aesthetic experience. Like, it takes a lot of time to put these games together. I don't think we're going to reach the dizzying heights of the old Hammer terrain setup, but we're going to try to do our best. Like, we're not going to turn up with cardboard heels that are undercoated black. We're looking for those tables to improve over time. On top of that, this channel we do a lot about playing well. You know, you turn up with something like, I think Cameron's Is the Manticore Any Good? That's a good way to go. That's what we're looking to sort of figure out on the table. And,
Mm.
you know, I hope it dies horribly. Like, I hope it's bad, as I've thought so far. And if I can whack it through, does it even have a ward save? That would be even better. But if I can't, oh well, you know, fair play. We'll probably get a video out of it. I did, I did want to announce just before we get to the end. So there's $50 for this store credit. And they've been announced. So that's money in the bank, guys. Get ready. If you love Empire, make a pre-order with In Response. We've released the costings for that. I'm happy to send them to you on behalf of Dave, and he'll look into it for you. However, we're also doing painting a little bit differently. So often, you know, painting, it's sort of like playing basketball in the NBA. You're either born tall and then everyone celebrates you for it. And painting, the same people tend to win all the time. Uh, we want you to bring a piece of terrain. So an impassable piece of terrain that you've created. If you've created one, we're going to then vote on those, and we will incorporate it into the games on the day, but it'll also be voted on in a similar way. Players don't have to vote if they don't want to, but the players that do vote will determine more store credit. There's $50 up for grab. In the end, what it'll mean is that your ranking in each of these areas, painting, which will be the terrain, plus the sports vote, which we had today, which I think I'm already really far down the list, and then where you rank in the overall general category for battle points on the day, those will be combined for the final one, which is best overall. And we want to promote that. So I'll put this in text. I'll put a link to the list in total to a Google Doc that can give you access to all of that if you want to go back through them. But we're less than a week away, Paddy. How do you feel after going through this? Do you feel more excited about playing? Do you feel like there's more at stake? Do you think people are going to come up and talk about what we said
Yeah,
on
I'm
this?
worried that people are going to get offended with what I said, but it's not a jibe. I kind of feel a bit of a weight off my shoulders because my list, although it has a dragon, has a few more flaws in it, and I think it's a bit. And if I get smashed in turn one, in round one, and then I go play someone else who has that same kind of scale, then looking forward to it. I'm kind of, yeah, I think scaling things back could be an enjoyable time. I'm not saying I'm going to do that come January, but there's time to play full competitive lists and time to scale it back with a dragon.
Yeah, I know. Talk about a big winner. Jesus.
Yeah,
What'd you get? 6.64 something?
yeah, count them all.
So, yeah, who knows? But they're the scores. Hopefully they're up soon. You'll find out from us. There's more coming on the channel. We're going to make some announcements early next year about some of the way the channel's evolving, but there'll be more content on this coming forward over the few weeks. I hope you stay in touch, but our usual stuff to do with tactics and or tactics slash battle reports will be coming out as well, all the way through to the end of January if people are on holidays, particularly in the Southern Hemisphere. So we'll see you soon. Thanks, Paddy. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Al.